Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to really get into the weeds on pre-existing conditions, or pre-X, within the Sharewell health sharing community.
hmm
Because this model, it operates so differently from traditional insurance. And that means how your medical history is defined, well, it profoundly impacts your wallet.
It absolutely does. The crucial baseline definition, and you really have to get this, is that a pre-existing condition is any illness or injury that you were, say, examined for, had symptoms of, took medication for, or received treatment for.
Within a specific time frame?
Yes, within 24 months right
Yeah.
before you enrolled. The whole idea here is that the community is sharing unexpected medical risk, so they have to be careful about known expensive history coming in.
Okay, so let's unpack that 24-month rule because our sources really zeroed in on some pretty surprising exceptions that apply to a huge number of people.
Right.
What did we find out about managing those common chronic issues?
This is what's fascinating. Stability is really rewarded here. So,
Hmm.
standard chronic conditions, think high blood pressure, high cholesterol, thyroid issues, even type 2 diabetes.
Things millions of people manage every day.
Exactly. They're not automatically labeled pre-existing. The designation only kicks in if you were actually hospitalized for that specific condition within the 12 months before you joined. If you're managing it stably, it often doesn't count.
Wow, that distinction is huge. But the rules, they do get very strict when the cost is unavoidable and already known, right?
Absolutely.
We're talking about things like an active pregnancy or major ongoing treatments. I noticed the sources really highlighted cancer treatment, which has a much longer look-back period.
That's right. For major conditions like cancer, the look back actually gets extended to 36 months. And the essential rule here, the one to remember, is that expenses for any pre-existing condition are simply not eligible for sharing during your first year.
Not at all.
They only become eligible starting in your second year of continuous membership.
So, given those strict rules, especially for that first year, I imagine a lot of listeners might think, well, that sounds too risky. But how does that risk actually translate into savings for someone who is managing a pre-existing issue?
And this is where you have to sort of flip your thinking. The question isn't just, will it be shared? It's, what will it actually cost me out of pocket?
Right.
Because Sharewell's monthly contribution costs are generally lower. And you get access to direct pay or self-pay pricing. We're talking discounts of 40 to 80% off the sticker price.
Yeah, we saw that fantastic example in the sources. A family saving $13,200 a year just on their monthly contribution.
Just on the monthly payments alone, yeah. And even when they had that unshared pre-existing minor procedure, I think it was a cyst removal, that cost them, what, $1,500 at that direct pay rate?
Their total annual expense still came out to only about $8,700,
Yeah.
which is just dramatically lower than the $25,000 it would have cost under a comparable high-deductible plan.
It is. The savings on the monthly contribution can completely dwarf the cost of a manageable, unshared procedure.
This brings up a really important question about fairness and, bureaucracy. How does Sharewell actually verify all this medical history? What's that determination process like, especially in that critical first year?
For non-acute sharing requests, so things that are planned, not an emergency in that first year, they do require full clinical records for the past 2 years.
Okay, so they do their homework.
They have to. It's to verify that 24-month window and protect the integrity of the shared funds for everyone. But, and this is important, that scrutiny drops off significantly over time. In year 2, records are usually only requested for costs they think will go over $30,000.
And in year 3,
By year 3, that threshold jumps up to $60,000. It shows a real trust in their long-term members.
so to wrap this all up, the big takeaway is that understanding that 24-month rule, the 36-month exception for something major like cancer, and that crucial detail about stable chronic conditions, that's really the key to figuring out your risk.
And remember the foundational truth here. If the biggest financial benefit comes from that lower monthly bill and those deep direct pay discounts, then what everyday condition are you managing right now that truly influences your healthcare cost decisions? That's the calculation you really need to run for yourself.